Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Umaro Cissoko Embalo is set to be Guinea-Bissau's next leader. His supporters are hoping that he'll break with the past in a country that's become notorious for graft and faces such a problem with cocaine smuggling that it was dubbed the world's first ever narco state. And we also head to Burkina Faso, where one prisoner's making all the right sounds ahead of his release. He's been developing his musical talents behind bars and hopes that he'll have a successful career once he's finished his 5-year sentence. But first, Guinea-Bissau's next president will be Umaro Cissoko Embalo. The Electoral Commission announced his victory over Domingos Simoes Pereira on Wednesday. Pereira is a member of the ruling PAIGC party and claims that the results are fixed. In the meantime, Embalo's supporters are celebrating the win of a man who's vowed to represent harmony for a country long dogged by coups, corruption and political assassinations. Erin Ogunkei tells us more.
Guinea-Bissau rang in the new year with a new president-elect, ex-Prime Minister Umaro Cissoko Embalo, who won with a comfortable 53.55% of votes. Often donning a red and white keffiyeh, the 47-year-old and former military general will replace outgoing President José Mario Vaz, under whom he served as Prime Minister. In 2018, he broke away from the ruling PAIGC party to join Madem G15, which was founded by ruling party dissidents. Cissoko Embalo was elected on a pledge to end chronic political instability in Guinea-Bissau. The small nation of 1.8 million people has witnessed 4 successful military coups out of 16 attempts.
I'm a builder, a unifier. Guinea-Bissau needs a man who will unite the country because the PAICG candidate has stoked hatred and division among racial, tribal and religious lines. I am a man who will bring all the Bissau Guineans together.
But the population will also expect its new leader to improve public services, tackle poverty, and fight rampant corruption. Guinea-Bissau is among the world's least developed and poorest nations. The country's position as a transit point for cocaine moving from Latin America onto Europe also earned it the widespread reputation as the world's first narco state in the early 2000s. Umaro Cissoko Embalo's most immediate challenge, however, will be to form a government. In Guinea-Bissau, it is the majority party that appoints the government, though the president has the power to dismiss it.
Well, for more on what's in store for Guinea-Bissau, I'm joined by Professor Douglas Yates. He's a political scientist who specialises in Africa. Thanks for coming in, Doug. So for a closer look at what's likely to happen for the country going forward, we heard this week outgoing leader Vaz calling for whoever follows on from him to really focus on bringing stability to the country. He became really emotional in his farewell speech. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing Guinea-Bissau at the moment? What does it need stabilizing?
Right. So in the short term, what he needs to do is to calm tensions so there won't be an opposition that refuses to accept his victory. For that, he'll need to make some kind of offer to the ruling party, the longtime ruling party, the PAIGC. The second thing he needs to do is to fight corruption. They have institutional weakness on every level, and the people have lost confidence in their government. And part of that is simply because they don't have the institutional capacity to enforce policy. And the third thing he needs to do is to try to fight the narco trafficking. So he's got a lot on his plate.
So why is narco trafficking such a problem for the country?
Well, the country's very poor. In that region, Senegal grows peanuts, Gambia grows peanuts, and Guinea-Bissau grows cashews. Cashews represent over 87% of this country's exports. And cashews aren't worth much. They make $1 billion for 1 million people. They're one of the 10 poorest countries on the planet. So when drugs started coming in from Latin America, particularly cocaine, it's an estimated 30 tons of cocaine pass through Guinea-Bissau's hundreds of small islands and porous borders and work their way into Europe. That brings in $250 million a year. That's cash. That's drug money cash, and it's been the basis of coups, mutinies, and political rivalries as people are fighting like mafiosos over this drug money.
So you're saying that this problem has affected the kind of political stability of the country in the past. Now we have Embalo, who's promising to stand for change, but can he really represent that much of a break with the past, bearing in mind he's a former prime minister? He was, until just a few years ago, a member of the ruling PAGC party in a country that is known for graft based on its historically known for graft. So what can Embalo really stand for in terms of making an ideological break from what came before?
Yeah, this is hard because institutions are weak, men are strong, and there's a personalization of politics. So right now, everything is precisely looking to what this individual man can do. But in reality, no man rules alone. So what he's going to need to do is capture what's called the selectorate, the 200, 300 most influential people in Guinea-Bissau who'll make things happen. What can he possibly do with narco trafficking? There's been a major effort by the international community, by Interpol, by the UN, and by the Drug Enforcement Agency to arrest big narco traffickers, and they claim to have cut that cocaine annual supply of 30 tons a year down to 1 ton a year. We don't know if it's true, but he's got an opportunity, a hiatus. There's a drop right now in the drug money, and that means the people whose power is based on drug money, they don't have the money to distribute. So it is a possibility to return authority to state institutions. He's a former general, thus he's got the backing of the army, a critical force. Several of the leaders in the past decade have been assassinated or overthrown by the army. That won't happen this time. He also has the support of the major opposition parties in parliament, but he doesn't have a majority in parliament. So he's in cohabitation right now, and that's his first challenge of governance.
Thanks very much, Douglas Yates, for coming in to speak to us about a little bit of what's in store for whoever takes over in Guinea-Bissau going forward. Well, look, now, in other news, Turkey said that they may hold off from sending troops to Libya to support the Tripoli government there. On Thursday, Turkish parliament's due to debate and vote on a bill that could deploy forces to help the government of national accord. It's currently under siege by fighters led by Eastern Commander Khalifa Haftar. Ankara now says, though, that if Haftar stops his offensive and pulls back, it may not send in troops. And in Sudan, Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok headed to El Geneina on Wednesday, where at least 24 people have been killed in a camp for the displaced. Krinding camp was attacked at the end of December following an ethnic dispute. UN peacekeepers have accused Arab tribesmen of the fatal raid. Brokering peace in the troubled Darfur region is one of the main challenges facing the country's transitional council that took over after the fall of Omar al-Bashir back in April. Now, if music can help you escape your troubles, then one prisoner in Burkina Faso is certainly onto a winner. Roland Tapsoba's skills with the guitar have gone from strength to strength behind bars, and he's laid the foundations for a hopefully successful career upon his release. Nicolas Chamin has more.
Ouagadougou's prison is overcrowded. More than 2,000 detainees are behind bars here. Among them is Roland Tapsoba. He's serving a 5-year jail term for fraud. He writes songs and is planning his next step.
It's normal that when you do something bad, you end up in prison. But I think it's better to prepare your exit. I'm always looking to see how after jail I can continue in the music business and see how I can help other detainees.
Every week the prisoners receive music lessons. One guard noticed Roland's skills and offered him a guitar.
I think I detected a hidden talent. He plays music with his fellow prisoners. It's good for him and it's good for us.
Roland's stage name is Rolby. Inside the jail, he was able to record his first 4 songs. Sometimes he plays live music, and for just a few minutes, everyone forgets that the concert is actually taking place inside a prison.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks very much for joining us, and do so again if you can. Take care.
Éducation. Éducation. Monde. Francophonie. Numérique. Climat. Paix. Débat. Démocratie.
Igualdad, mujeres, hombres.
Égalité, femmes-hommes.
Développement. Bonne année 2020.